Hey socialites, welcome back. And if you're new here, I'm Ariell. I do mainly beauty videos, fragrance, and lifestyle. So if you enjoy those type of videos, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and come join the family. So in today's video, we're gonna be playing in color, girl. Who is she? We're playing in color. It's gonna be step by step. I'm gonna give you guys tons of tips. I enjoyed it. Sometimes I put eyeshadow palettes on the tray that have these bold colors on there, and I set out to purposely go buy certain eyeshadow palettes because they have certain bold colors in them, and I never hardly reach for them. So in October, I want to play in color a little bit more. So if you want to see how I got this purple eyeshadow look, then keep on watching. So I've already moisturized with my Clinique 100-hour moisture surge, which is my go-to. And for primer, I try to switch it up, but I usually go between the Cali Ray So Blown and my e.l.f. liquid putty primer. If I were to put them in order, the e.l.f. primer would be my fave, and this will be like a close number 2. I'm just gonna apply this in the areas that I need it, which is like the cheek areas and the forehead. Well, like right here in the forehead. And as you can see, it does slightly mattify. So because the Patrick Ta liquid foundation launched last month, I thought this month we go into using the other Patrick Ta foundation. This one was his first foundation that I really like. I usually pull for this more so in like the fall winter months, just because it's sort of emollient. It's a cream formula, really good. And as you can see, it does come with a powder as well. So this shade is tan too, and it's a pretty good match. So for the foundation brush, I'm going to use this buffing brush that I got from Walmart. I recently told you guys about it, and I do like it. Y'all, this is so affordable. It's like a $4 brush. So I'm just going to go right into the product. And I went in the areas that I have the most like hyperpigmentation so you guys could see what type of coverage it gives. And if you notice, for the coverage, I did like that sort of stamping motion. I don't want to wipe on because then it would sort of blend it out. You know what I mean? And it would shear out the coverage. So I like to sort of stamp it on a little bit. And it looks super matte. Well, maybe not super matte, but it looks like a soft matte finish because I put it on top of the Cali Ray primer. Without the Cali Ray primer, if I were to use a different primer, like a more hydrating one, it wouldn't look this matte like this. It looks a little bit more emollient. One thing about this foundation that I've told you guys about a few times that I've worn it on camera, there's a scent that smells kind of like crayon a little bit. I love the way it looks, but I'm not crazy about that scent that it gives off. Have any of you guys tried this before? I feel like this is a foundation that almost nobody talks about, but it is actually really good. Haus Labs. This is one of my faves, so I'm gonna layer 2, 40 as like the transition, and then 34 like for the brighter shade. So this shade here is 40, and then 34. So the darker shade, I'm gonna blend first with my little puff. You guys have seen me use this time and time again. You can get like a whole pack of these for a few dollars on Amazon. So I like to blend the darker shade of concealer first, just by lightly tapping it to blend in. This type of concealer does not take a lot of work to blend. As you can see, it just kind of faded right in with a few taps. See how easy it blends into the skin, and to the blend between that first concealer and the foundation. That color made it a seamless blend as well. Now the brighter one, I'm gonna kind of tap it in place because I want it to stay bright just in this area right here. And especially if you're somebody who's trying to cover dark pigmentation, or if you have any type of pigmentation under eye, it's always best to sort of tap your concealer there instead of like wiping it. Because if you try to like wipe it or use a brush, with your concealer and go like that, you're literally swiping the coverage away. So to maintain that coverage, just tap, tap, tap until it's blended to your desired effect. On the forehead, I just did 34, the lighter shade. Now with the Haus Labs concealers, you guys, this is like a medium coverage. And I can get away with a medium coverage right now anyways. So you could get full coverage out of these, but how I swiped the product on, you would have to go in with 2 layers if you wanted full coverage out of these. But I like it because it minimal creasing and it just looks nice on the skin, like natural looking on the skin without being dry. It's kind of hydrating, but not too hydrating. So I like that part of it. So let's use our Milani cream bronzer. This one's in the shade Spicy Season. I do like this cream bronzer, so I'm going to be pretty much using this in October. And I'm going to take the number 47 brush from Sephora collection to blend that cream. And because of the shape of this, how it's like tapered that way, I like to go upward this way. So when I smile, I can use this as like a guide and just blend that over in just like that. So if you notice, there is a major line of demarcation. So where the area where we have the concealer and then the area where we have the cream bronzer, we want to fade that area. So there's a couple things you can do. You could tap with the brush that has your leftover foundation on it and just blend. If you don't want that sort of sharp line, you can tap in between these two as well. But some people like that chiseled look. I don't mind it. It depends on what look I'm going for. But you can tap. Or if you want to, you can go back in with your foundation, put a little bit more foundation on your brush and tap that area. But for today, I'm fine with just tapping until it's blended. And even here where I applied the cream bronzer here, so you have bronzer and then you have foundation and or concealer there. So you can also tap the line here and do the same thing. So let's take my One Size Ultimate Setting Powder. This one is in Ultra Pink, one of my favorites. One Size they just get it right with the powder. So I recently went to Sephora like a couple days ago because the new One Size foundation finally came to store. None of the shades match me. I mean, at all. Like, not even close type of don't match me. So that's a no. So you want to blend out any creasing you may have under eye before you set with powder, because whatever's there before powder will show up after powder. So just blend that, and I'm using this Deluxe crease brush for that. I love this for that step, and I also love this same brush to like blend out like brows too. So tapping off the excess powder on my hand to make it smooth, because if your powder is chunky on whatever tool you're applying with, let me show you what I mean. So you see on here how you have some smooth areas and some textured areas with the powder. If you apply it like this, then some areas will not be smooth under eye, it will be chunky. So that's the purpose of tapping it on the back of your hand or on the back of something to make it smooth. See how it's completely smooth with no chunks? And when you apply it under eye, it will be just as smooth. So look up. So because we have the amount of coverage we have with our foundation, I'm going to go in with a setting powder for the rest of the face that I didn't set with my One Size powder. One Size was just mainly for highlighted areas. So this is to set everywhere else that the cream hadn't been set. And this has like a medium coverage. So it's not like coverage that like a foundation powder or something like that is going to give you. So it will make it smooth, stay in place without being too heavy. And this setting powder is in the shade Mahogany. The Refi Brow Gel. Ew, it's quite a bit of product. We don't need that much at all. So I can use that just to brush throughout. some on the other brow. So for bronzer, let's use the NARS bronzer. This is one of my favorites, which is Laguna 6 that I barely use, but it's good. It was 50% off through during 21 Days of Beauty. Were any of y'all able to pick up the Laguna bronzer during the 21 Days of Beauty? That 50% off was like a steal for such a product. This has never been on 21 Days of Beauty. Like, wow. But I do like the shade of it. So I'm using a Japanese brush that I got from Marshall's. It was either Marshall's or TJ Maxx now has Japanese. So, well, they've been having it for years at this point. So tap right in. It's super pigmented, so you don't need a whole lot. If you're using a powder that's very pigmented, whether it be like a bronzer or a blush, I recommend you start at the highest point away from the center of your face first. That way, if you accidentally get too much pigment, you don't get too much pigment here towards the center of your face. It's sort of far back, and you can kind of manipulate that a little better without it getting messy, rather than starting with too much right here, you know? So I like to start back here and bring it up. Since I've got my YSL bronzer, this one hasn't been getting enough love, but it's so good. This is like classic bronzer. The Sephora Best Skin Ever Concealer. I just want to clean up my brows a little bit. And this little skinny concealer brush here I got in a Shein order, y'all. Look at this. Y'all, this brush is so sharp, it could cut a watermelon. It's sharp. The same deluxe crease brush that I used earlier for the blend under eye creases, I'm gonna use this to sort of fade that concealer. Sephora Best Skin Ever dries so fast. You really should work a little faster than what I'm working with. But makeup tools is kind of like tools in the kitchen. When you have great quality, like knives, how much quicker and easier you can like chop your vegetables and stuff, or whatever it is you're cutting, meat or whatever. It's the same thing with makeup. Like, you can get the job done more efficient when you have really good tools, you know. The Merit eyebrow pencil. It has a spoolie on one end. I'm using my Merit complexion stick for nose contour. It's in the shade Tiger Eye, which is just slightly darker than the shade that I use with them for the the complexion of the foundation color. Not too far off. And because I applied a cream on top of me already setting my face with powder, I prefer to use my finger to blend. That way I don't disturb anything else. And we'll make this look a little bit more natural once we do our under eye brightening powder. It'll come together. So because I want to do a little bit of color on my eyes and I've done my complexion first, I find it easier to use eyeshadow tape. And this one's from Real Techniques. It is a tape, but it's sort of made for makeup because it's not super sticky to where you'll rip all your makeup off. It's just kind of like softly sticky, if that makes any sense. But I still like to kind of go over it with my fingers to take even more of the little sticky part off. So like you could like rub it, stick it down, and see like it's not sticking that much anymore. And put it right there. That way our color doesn't really get everywhere. And you can get more precision if you like that sort of a little bit more precise or chiseled eyeshadow look. So let's use our Vanessa Juvia's Place palette. It's so rare that I use color, but we're bringing it out in October. Why not? The Morphe M576 eyeshadow blending brush. See how fluffy it is? This is going to give us a really good blend. BSG is the name of this brown. Tap off any excess. And I'm only going halfway. As you can see, you still see skin from here to here, and about a third of the way in. See how the tape is catching that eyeshadow so it doesn't get too far over on the skin. And then as I'm moving towards the center of the eye, I'm backing my hand off of the brush. So when you want more pigment, you can go closer, because we want it to be deep and sultry. As we get closer to right here in this area, we want it faded. So you back your hand off the brush, which means less pressure, and then we can get a better blend. So I'm not putting any more product on the brush. I'm just sort of fading it in like that. That's how you get that good fade or blend. Using another fluffy brush, but this one's smaller, from Real Techniques. Fluffy eyeshadow brush, going in with the shade Pkwy. And then closer to in this area, I don't want any pink, so you definitely want to back your hand off the brush so it's not so pigmented in that area. And this is a flat shader brush from Morphe. It doesn't have a number on it, it came in a set. And I'm going to take Perfectionist and place that right in the inner corner where I left the little space. And so now I'm tapping over the edge of that pink that I put in the middle to create the blend. Since this is not a blending brush, I tap it in order to blend it in between the two. So taking a clean blending brush, I just want to sort of mesh everything together right over the top edges. Just fade everything. And I'm gonna take this shade here, which is Busy, and this is gonna help me sort of fade a little bit as well. Make sure you tap off the excess, you guys, because sometimes that part right there, that's kind of light. I do want a little bit more color than that. So I'm gonna go in with this MAC shade for that step. I'll have to put this one on the screen, the name of it, because I'll have to peel it out of the compact to get it. It'll also be in the description box though. So let's take this, tap off the excess. Yeah, so this one's giving us just a little bit more color, which is what we need, not too much. In any areas that you want to be more pronounced, you can kind of go back in and apply where you need to. Ooh, it did take off a little bit, but that's okay. We can touch that up. So taking my foundation brush again, and we're just gonna touch that up. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's so rare that I play in color. So let's use our Rare Beauty Perfect Strokes liner. It's a felt tip. I'm going to use my Essence pencil liner. It's really black and it stays pretty good too. So I'm going inside of the waterline, but then on the outer edge, I do want to slightly touch the skin. And what this is going to do is give me something to work with so that I can smudge it. And for that, I'm going to use this little pencil shaped brush. And it's a little bit on the stiffer side, which is what I need. Fenty Hella Thick Mascara. Y'all, I haven't done my eyes this glam in so long. So for blush, I don't want to go too ham because, you know, we have the color on the eye. So let's do the Haus Labs. This one's in the shade Fire Moon. So on my skin, it's on the subtle side. It does have a little bit of sheen to it. So just be mindful of that. And I'm going to use my Sephora collection number 93 brush because it's angled for blush, but at the same time it's on the fluffier side, so it won't apply too pigmented. It'll give me that blend at the same time. So product, tap off the excess, and quite a bit of excess comes off with this, so you definitely want to tap off excess. Smile here. I think this color is so good for the shadow. What do y'all think about the blush with the eyeshadow? I think the shades complement each other so well. And remember, if you're going in with a deeper color blush, sort of start applying in this area first. That way, if you do have too much color, you know, it's a little bit further back. What blush shade would you guys wear if you did like a purplish type eye? Would you do like this, or would you do something with color as well, like more color than this? Okay, my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. This is one of my... Girl, this is the Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder in 2 medium. I've been using this for years. If y'all been watching me for a while, this is it. Now I've been introduced to the number 7 powder. That's actually the brand called number 7. And I really like that, but this was like the go-to. So I'm taking the opposite side of that flat puff. Same concept. You want to make sure that powder is even. And we're going to go up the sides of the nose, and that's cleaning up that nose contour too. See, that's giving us a little bit of brightening, and then it's giving us a smoother appearance. So you see the difference. What powder do y'all use for this step? I actually want to deepen just the outer edge of the blush. So I'm going in with my Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Cheek to Chic, and I'm going to use the outer edge with just the tip of that same brush and just add it like right there. I'm not going to go all the way in, just right here, and then where they meet, just kind of like fade the line by tapping over it. Yeah, I think I like that a little better. And I don't think it's too much. What do you think? Should I have stopped with the first blush, or do y'all like this better, adding the deeper one on the outer? So let's use BFF3 from ColourPop. And then I'm just going to add a tiny bit of Limitless Brown on the top. Just a thin line. You see, I'm not working it in like how I did BFF3. It's just a little thin line. So see how it looks like a gradient? And then let's take the Makeup by Mario. This is the Plumping Lip Color in Caramel. So I'm gonna take my Continuous Mist Spray from Morphe. And I rarely use this, but I'm using it because something about the mixture of the primer I used, the Cali Ray primer, and this foundation gave more matte than what I really wanted. Because usually when I wear this foundation, it doesn't look this matte. I don't think it looked bad though. I like it. I'm excited. This has made me excited to try another look, y'all. Because I tell you, sometimes I put on my makeup tray something with color, and I may do it once or maybe not even at all. So this has inspired me to try something else. So what color should I try next? I'm thinking blue, but let me know down in the comments. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Everything I use I'll have linked down below in the description box in case you didn't catch it during the video. If you're new here, welcome. I would love for you to come join the family by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
'Cause I've been where you are. You're too scared to show me love. 'Cause too fresh with the scars. Well, I don't have the answers.